Hey guys, it's Patrick here. I'm a personal trainer, owner of Perform and Transform. Personal training, we're based out of Vancouver. We got two studios and a team of personal trainers. I'm a certified personal trainer, also a certified nutrition coach. We've helped a lot of people transform their life through fitness, whether it's losing weight, toning up, or getting healthy again. I'm joined here with our guest, Brendan. Brendan, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Brendan Ip. I'm a registered physiotherapist based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And
Perfect. So welcome to our webinar series. This is called Blueprint to Fitness. We hope this webinar gives you a lot of value. In today's webinar, Brendan is going to be breaking down a little bit of my walking and running. It's called the gait analysis. This is unscripted and live, so hope you guys get a lot of value, and he's going to go ahead and diagnose me, and I'll get to understand exactly how I run, what my flaws are, and hopefully improve my overall fitness. Brendan, why do you think people always walk funny?
there's a lot of imbalances that can cause walking anomalies, but sometimes it's old injuries. Sometimes it's what we do for a living. Maybe it's sitting a little bit too long and feeling tight in certain areas. But nevertheless, I've never seen Patrick run before, but we got some footage of him running. So we're going to take a look at that. And so if at any point you need to go back and look at something, feel free to scroll on back and pause it, freeze it. But I will be pausing and zooming in at different points during this video in order to talk about the things that I'm looking at. So feel free to just listen in and yeah. Hey guys, my name is Brendan Ip. I'm a registered physiotherapist based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And today what we have for you here is we have a gait analysis. So I have some footage of a runner, and what we're going to do is we're going to systematically break this down, see what imbalances we find, and then we're going to try to talk a little bit about the biomechanics and kind of what that might cause. Just as a full disclosure, we have no medical history about this person. We have not asked any safety screening questions, no medical history, no knowledge of past injuries. So we're going to go into this blind, we're going to see what we find, and then, yeah, we'll break it down. So if you any point you need to kind of scroll back and rewatch, feel free to do so, but I will be pausing and zooming in at different points during this video in order to kind of explain to you guys what we see here, okay? So as you guys can see on the screen, we have this angle perspective of watching the runner from the back as they run forward. So we'll be watching him from the back, watching him from the front, and then watching him from the side as well. Typically in a full analysis, we would be watching him run from the left side and also on the right hand side to see if we see a difference, but sometimes footage can be a little bit limiting, so we'll see what we can do in this case. Okay, so we'll start off the video here. So we'll see a little clip of him running. Okay, so we'll slow that down, slow motion. You guys can see if you find anything. I see something right away, so I'm gonna repeat this a little bit. So you see that right foot as he lands, there's an inner force, and you zoom in here. Okay, so as you guys can see, there's this little angle. So as he lands and he puts full weight onto that ankle, what's happening is it's thrusting inwards. So his foot physiologically is everting. So this is not going to be the same kind of strain that you usually would put on the ankle to sprain it, like as in that inversion fold out of the ankle, but this is still going to be putting some strain on some of the ligaments on the inside of the foot. So if you, for example, go off a curb and you don't realize it, and the force is a little bit higher, or you accidentally step in a pothole, that amount of unwarranted force might be enough to sprain something. So running slowly on tile like that might not be an issue, but it might show up at faster speeds, higher runs, or uneven terrain. And then just as a side note, we can see a little bit on the left foot there, actually. You can see the wear on the outside of his shoe. The Under Armour logo is a little worn out there. So that could be something else as well. So let's keep watching. And so that's the forward, right? So notice anything, slow that down. You guys can see the same thing on that right foot as it comes in, and we'll zoom in on that as well. Okay, so repeat that 1 second there. So you can still see that same jolt inwards. It's pretty abrupt, and you can see even if the angle's a little off there, okay? But you can see the left ankle does not do the same thing, okay? So as we watch the impact on the left-hand side, it actually looks pretty even, right? There isn't that sudden sudden jolt inwards. So we know that there's something funny happening at the ankle right now already. So whether it's from previous injury or maybe a learned movement pattern, maybe a dominant side, right? We're not totally sure yet, but let's see what we find on the sideways view. So we'll slow that down a little bit. So as he comes across, okay, so we can see the initial contact there. So we'll slow it down. I'll break down that segment again. So, right, so the right foot as he lands. So what I want you guys to pay attention to is the angle that the right foot is at when he touches the ground with the heel. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it right here. So I put a little bit of text there. So right when the heel touches, right, so this is called right initial contact, you can see the angle of his leg, and you can measure it very specifically. I would personally want like a ground level camera to get the angles right. I didn't feel like it was necessary to get out like a ruler and actually measure the angle, but you can see that the angle is less than 90 degrees. As in, if you draw a line down his shin and then you draw a line along the sole of his foot, you can see that the angle is smaller than 90 degrees, which means that he's bending the ankle a lot and picking up the ankle a lot. So remember, that right side is what we found something iffy with last time, so when we were watching him from the front. So let's take a look at the left foot and see if we find anything on that left side. Okay, so we're going to watch him run across again. Slow mode, this is the left side initial contact. Okay, so now we'll break it down and we'll look at the zoomed in version. Repeat there. Okay, so we're repeating that side. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and we'll freeze it. Okay, so this is initial contact with the left foot. So as you can see already, there's a drastic change. Without busting out any measurements, we can clearly see that his ankle is a lot more straight, as in it's not bent up as high, it's not cranked up as high, it's a little bit lower. So the toe comes off the ground a little bit less, okay? So that means the angle is more than 90 degrees now, and that's during the left initial contact, okay? So there's a lot of different reasons why this might happen, and let's kind of keep going here. So that's, I think, mostly what we see, and we'll just kind of run through whole contact there, and then we'll take a look at that toe off. So we'll zoom in here, right toe off, right? So we're looking at the right foot pushing off the ground. Okay, so right here, the right foot when you were initially contacting the ground was a little bit more bent, and we can see that the angle is fairly similar, right? The angle is around that 90 degrees, right? Might be, yeah, it actually seems pretty close. I'd have to kind of measure it to be a little bit more precise, but for right now, it seems like it's still a little bit more bent, maybe a little bit less than 90 degrees, similar to when he has the heel on the ground. And then we'll rewatch this and we'll take a look at the left foot touching the, pushing off. So left foot push off is right there. We'll kind of freeze frame that. So as he toes off on the left side, same thing, right? A little bit more extended, okay? So there's a little bit of a trend of what we find already. And let's see if we have any more footage here. So that kind of takes us right back to the beginning. So right away, we've already kind of broken that down. There's clearly something going wrong at that right ankle. Now, there's no reports of any pain or anything that we know of. It might not be affecting him. Maybe it's preventative. Maybe it's just like prehab because maybe he's looking to increase some distance or anything like that. But we'd have to kind of do a full screen, do some special testing, get specific measurements. But right away, this analysis is a really good way to kind of break down what might cause future problems. Okay, let's get back to it. All right, so based on the things that we saw there, I mean, there's a couple different options, but we don't know anything about Patrick's medical history, so let's go ask him about it. So Patrick, can you tell us a little bit about your right side?
Yeah, actually, in fact, that was the first time I saw the video as well, and it was really interesting. I didn't notice about my right foot there, and so, yeah, I've actually had a lot of ankle problems. I've played a lot of sports and rolled my ankles numerous times, but I somehow always roll my right ankle and not that much on my left ankle. And so I've had a lot of sprains, high ankle sprains, mild, medium sprains. And then in fact, I've noticed too on the insole of my shoe that I tend to kind of pronate a little bit more, and so on my big toe, on my insole, it kind of wears out a little bit more. So yeah, those are all interesting things that I never actually noticed before. So why do you think, what is the cause for that, Brendan?
Well, I mean, the wear on the insole on the shoe, that could be like a whole topic for a whole nother day. But with regards to the ankle, I mean, there's a couple alternatives here. So with many repetitive sprains, what could be happening is that Patrick here could be just like learning to move a different way because subconsciously he's scared of spraining his ankle again. So he might just be like picking up his ankle a little bit more to kind of stop himself from potentially tripping. The alternative is that just the repetitive sprains on that ankle has actually caused adhesions and scar tissue to kind of settle in. And so then there's actually a physical restriction of that ankle that stops him from moving through that full range. So if it's a movement pattern issue where he's like learned to move a certain way, then we'd have to get Patrick in the clinic, and then we'd have to go through a lot of movement pattern exercises, teach him to do extension through all joints in a functional pattern similar to running, jumping, walking, or just extension of the legs there in order to reteach him how to do that properly so that ankle is doing its full share. But if it's not that, then Patrick, what would we do about a restriction, like something that's actually physically stopping you from moving that ankle?
Yeah, that's a great point. In fact, I didn't even know I had an ankle restriction until you brought this up, Brendan. So that's really, really good value for me. And I think everyone has all sorts of restrictions in their body. So the first step is just being aware of what kind of restriction you have. And Brendan does a great job of analyzing and dissecting and breaking everything down. And then once you're aware of what you had, then I can go ahead and show you what type of exercise to do to help loosen up your joint or loosen up the muscles. So there's two parts. The first part is joint mobilization, and the second is muscle mobilization. For joint mobilization is very, very simple. You can do joint mobilization exercises at home. All you need is a TheraBand, and I can show you exactly what to do to get more mobility in your ankle joint. The second thing you can do is to mobilize the muscles surrounding the joint. So the big muscle is your calves or your gastrocnemius. And so what you would do there, you can do it two ways. You can do trigger point therapy where you have either a massage ball or a foam roller, and you just roll out your calves at specific spots that are really tight and causing you restrictions. The other thing you can do is very simple, just stretch out your calves, static holds for minimum 30 seconds. You can hold it for up to 2 minutes, and there's a variety of stretches that you can do, and I can show you exactly what stretches to do so that you can be in better shape, so that you can run better, run more efficiently, and improve your overall fitness.
So then, like, if we can't, so say it's a longer duration that we're working on this injury, and we can't get outside and run, and can't do a whole lot of mileage, and like, what else can we do to support our fitness?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most people, I tell them a lot. Most of our clients, they want to lose weight or tone up, and I tell them we're going to be getting fit in the gym, but we're going to be losing weight in the kitchen. So it's really important to supplement any type of fitness plan with the nutrition plan as well. And so everyone's nutrition is a little bit different. Everyone has different preferences and styles, and everyone's body responds to food differently, and so there's no one nutrition plan fits all. Every nutrition plan is tailored for each client. And so the first step is we would identify what you like to eat, when you like to eat, how much you like to eat, and then every week we set small goals to improve your overall fitness. So it might look like getting some extra vegetables the next week, or lean protein, or portioning out your meals properly, or eating at proper times, or staying hydrated. And so we will work with you to identify how we can best support your nutrition and progress your nutrition. But most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And so the most important thing is just having a plan and then executing that plan.
And so with that, we hope that you guys enjoyed today, and hope that you guys got a lot of information and educational resources out of this. We know that there's so much stuff out there, and it's so hard to sort through and find what's good, what's bad, and what's like useful and what's easy to apply to your own life. So what we've done today is I've decided to partner with Patrick, and what I can do for you is, instead of paying like high prices to get your running or walking analyzed, for right now, we're willing to analyze your running or walking for the price of a regular physiotherapy session. And in return for that, what we'll do is I'll refer you over to Patrick afterwards, and then Patrick can help you out.
Yeah, so we got a 4-pack special. The first step is getting assessed by Brendan, and then once you have your assessment, I'll have all the data information from Brendan to carry out some of the exercises that are gonna benefit you. And then in the next follow-up 3 sessions, we're gonna give you a killer deal of 50% off your regular personal training rate. And in addition, we're gonna help you with your nutrition, we're gonna help you with your overall fitness, and then get you into your best shape.
So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys found that this was like useful and this was practical and easy to apply, then share on your Facebook page, share it with your friends and family, spam their pages, share it with anyone, leave a like, leave a comment, favorite us. Hopefully this is the first of many webinars to come. All right, take care.
Perfect. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching Perform and Transform on YouTube. For more content and premium videos, please subscribe here. And thanks for allowing us to transform your life through fitness.